Who was Abraham Lincoln? Chapter 2 The Wider World. Abraham Lincoln knew he didn't want to be a farmer like his father, but he didn't know what he did want to do. So when he was 21, he decided to leave home and find out. He was hired to help sail flatboats loaded with supplies down the Sangamon River. One time, the boat got stuck on a dam in front of the town of New Salem in central Illinois. It began filling with water. Lincoln and the others on board couldn't free it. Suddenly, Lincoln had a brilliant idea. He bored a hole in the front of the boat and shifted all the supplies to that end. The boat tipped toward the hole, and the water ran out until the boat was high enough to go over the dam. Denton Offutt, the boat's owner, was so impressed that he offered to put Lincoln in business. He decided to build a store in New Salem. Lincoln would manage it. New Salem was a small village, but to Lincoln it seemed large and bustling. The store was a place where people gathered. Lincoln quickly became popular. People trusted him. He would never take advantage of anyone, even for a few cents. He joined a debating club and took part in town politics. He also went to the meetings of the local court. The justice of the peace began asking his opinion on cases because what he said was always so funny. But his opinions were also very intelligent. Soon people began coming to Lincoln for legal advice. Lincoln didn't just impress people in town. Some rough farm boys called the Clary's Grove Gang had heard about Lincoln, the young man everyone was praising so much. They wanted to take him down a peg, so they challenged him to a wrestling match. We don't know whether Lincoln won or lost, but the way he took on the whole gang won the boys over. They became his friends and loyal supporters, too. In 1832, Lincoln's friends convinced him to run for the Illinois state legislature. He didn't win, but he came close. In the meantime, Offutt's store failed and Lincoln lost his job. Just then, a war broke out between the Illinois settlers and the Native Americans. Lincoln joined the militia. He never actually fought any battles, but he boasted about all the blood he'd shed because of the mosquitoes. He decided to run for the state legislature again. He could count on support from all his friends in New Salem. But some farmers thought he was just a town fellow who didn't know how to work in the fields. So Lincoln pitched in with the harvest. That won the farmers' votes, and he could count on the Clary's Grove gang to make sure their friends would vote for him too. This time Lincoln won. Lincoln decided he would be a better representative if he knew more about law, so he began to read law books. Although he never studied law formally, Lincoln taught himself enough to earn his law license by studying every spare second of the day. Often he studied while lying on his back with his long legs resting on the trunk of a tree. As the sun moved, he followed it around the tree. Lincoln's depression. Lincoln enjoyed life. He was usually in the center of a crowd telling stories. When he reached the punchline, no one laughed harder than he did. But everyone around him noticed that he also carried with him a terrible sadness. Sometimes, only an hour after he'd been telling jokes, he might be found sitting alone, hunched up with his arms around his knees. No one dared to go near him during these times. Lincoln suffered from attacks of depression all his life.